This was once Syria's second city. Now it's the scene of an ever-deepening humanitarian catastrophe. Split in two in 2012, rebels have held around half of Aleppo for 4 years. But with Russian help, Syrian government forces have broken the deadlock over the last few weeks. They've been recapturing rebel-held areas and think victory may be in sight. But the human cost has been high, and the head of MI6 fears the result will simply be to swell terrorist ranks, a peril, he says, of Russia and Syria forfeiting legitimacy.
In defining as a terrorist anyone who opposes a brutal regime, they alienate precisely that group that has to be on side if the extremists are to be defeated. Meanwhile, in Aleppo, Russia and the Syria regime seek to make a desert and call it peace. The human tragedy is heartbreaking.
IS, or Daesh, he says, has highly organised external attack planning structures, and he says they are plotting violence against the UK without ever having to leave Syria. But his real worry is that other terror groups will grow as opposition to the Syrian regime is crushed, and that those terror groups too could target Britain.
The scale of the threat is unprecedented. The UK intelligence and security services have disrupted 12 terrorist plots in the UK since June 2013. We need to take the fight to the enemy, penetrating terrorist organisations upstream, by which I mean as close to the source as possible. In footballing terms, it's about always ensuring that you are playing in the opponent's half.
Mr. Younger told us that the terror threat to the UK is unprecedented. Not a surprise to hear from the head of MI6, the kind of thing we've heard many times from the government. Like much of his speech, it wasn't really a surprise. The real surprise was that a group of journalists was actually invited into that building en masse for the first time. This was a PR push by MI6, an attempt to show openness at a time when controversial new investigatory powers have just been approved by Parliament. C knows that to do their job properly, his agents and officers need the support of the public. James Hurst, Forces News at MI6 headquarters in London.